Imagine that you find yourself in the heart of the wild, face to face with a huge bear, and realize that you have no way out. There is only you, your instincts, and the beast that is known as one of the most terrifying predators on the planet. One wrong move can be the last in your life. Now think about how you would handle this situation, without weapons, without support, only with the help of willpower. Sounds like something out of a nightmare, doesn't it? But for those of us who spend time deep in the woods, these encounters are real. Today I'm going to tell you my own heartbreaking story of survival. The moment when the line between life and death was thinner than a hair. So hold on tight, because you will never forget this story. Believe me, the result may surprise you. It all started on a cold autumn morning. I was deep in the Siberian taiga, tracking deer in the forest. The ground was already covered with frost, and the silence in the forest was almost ominous. My every step echoed in the silence. The crunching of snow and dry leaves under my boots was the only sound for miles around. I spent a few days there. I got used to being alone, but on that special morning something seemed wrong to me. The hairs on the back of my neck stood on end. My instincts kicked in. I realized something was wrong, but I couldn't figure out what it was yet. I went deeper into the forest, focusing on the tracks ahead of me, hoping to spot a deer before the sun rose too high. But after crossing a small ridge, I froze. There, about 30 meters in front of me, was a huge brown bear. And not just a bear. It was a connecting rod, a bear that woke up early from hibernation, hungry and very aggressive. His fur was matted, and I could see lean muscles rolling under his skin. He hadn't noticed me yet, but he was sniffing the air, his massive head moving from side to side in search of food. My heart was racing. Every hunter knows that a rod is much more dangerous than an ordinary bear. They are unpredictable, desperate, and often attack without provocation. I began to slowly back away, praying that the wind would not carry my scent to the bear. But before I could take a second step, my foot stepped on a dry branch. The crackling echoed through the quiet forest like a shot. The bear turned its head sharply, and its black eyes met mine. For a split second, time seemed to stop. I remember how his nostrils flared when he sniffed the air again, confirming what he had already guessed: there was a new prey nearby. And then the bear charged. You will never be able to fully appreciate the speed and strength of a bear until you see it approaching you. At that moment, all rational thoughts left my mind. The only thing I could do was run. I turned and dashed through the trees, my heart pounding in my ears. The bear was right behind me, tearing through the undergrowth with terrifying speed. I could hear his heavy breathing and the crackling of branches as he moved forward, gaining altitude by the second. In a panic, I darted to the left, hoping to hide from him in the thicket of the forest. But the bear did not slow down. I felt him coming towards me, the ground trembling under his enormous weight. Then I made a decision that, in retrospect, could have saved my life. Instead of continuing to run blindly, I noticed a large tree with low-hanging branches right in front of me. Without thinking twice, I jumped up and grabbed the lower branch, pulling myself up with all my strength. The bear reached the tree a fraction of a second later. He stood up on his hind legs and swung at me with his massive paws, trying to throw me off the tree. His claws scraped the bark, but I didn't manage to get up a few inches. I could feel the adrenaline pumping through my veins as I scrambled, desperately trying to get out of his reach. But even when I climbed higher, the bear did not retreat. He circled around the tree, growling in frustration, not taking his eyes off me. I stayed there for what seemed like hours, my body shaking with fatigue and fear. In the end, the bear calmed down, but did not leave. He settled down at the foot of the tree, waiting. It was then that I realized that this was not the end. The bear wasn't going to give up so easily, and I had no way to defend myself. My rifle was left in the camp, too far away to be reached. I had a hunting knife with me, but what good would it do against a bear of that size? For the next hour, I watched the bear pacing around the tree, occasionally getting up and sniffing the air, as if to remind me that he wasn't going anywhere. I tried to come up with a plan, but each option seemed to me more suicidal than the previous one: climb down and run away. The bear would have caught up with me in a matter of seconds. Try to fight him off with a knife. It was funny. I was trapped, and the bear knew it. As the hours passed, I began to lose hope. The cold chilled me to the bone, and I had no food or water since morning. My muscles ached from clinging to branches, and I was getting closer to exhaustion by the minute. Meanwhile, the bear seemed as patient as ever, as if he knew that sooner or later I would have to come down. But just when I started to think that this was the end, something unexpected happened. A loud crack echoed through the forest, followed by another and another. The bear cocked its head, its ears twitching as it listened. At first I didn't understand what was going on, but then I realized the shots. Someone was nearby. The bear, startled by the sound, eventually retreated from the tree. He looked in the direction of the sound, growled once more, and then lumbered into the forest, disappearing among the trees. I waited until I was sure he was gone before I carefully climbed down, my legs shaking. I was alive. Barely, but alive. Wandering through the forest, I eventually came across a group of hunters who were walking along another trail. They heard the shots and came to investigate. I was too exhausted to explain everything right away, but when they saw the look in my eyes, they realized that something serious had happened. That encounter with the bear changed me. It's one thing to hear about these stories, but it's quite another to experience it yourself. That day I realized that nature is as beautiful as it is cruel, and that survival in the wild depends on quick thinking, instincts, and sometimes pure luck. Since then, I have never left a weapon in the forest, even if I decided to move not far from the hut. If you've come this far, I hope you enjoyed hearing about my encounter with death. These encounters with nature are unforgettable, and they remind us how insignificant we are in the general scheme of things. If this story made you nervous, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so as not to miss new adventures. Also, leave a comment below and let me know what you would do in my place. Would you climb this tree or try something else? Thank you for watching, and until next time, be safe there.